my experience as a sophomore in high school, I'm beginning to realize some patterns that in certain friend groups, not all of them, and people that I visited, I'm beginning to see a toxic byproduct that's produced from them, despite them having good intentions in the first place. I'm going to explain this in four different metaphors so that diverse audiences can understand it. So let's begin with the first one. This one's just going to be straight up. It's going to precede the rest of the metaphors here. So for me, the biggest issue half of this year was finding a permanent friend group. Right? The structure of many, but not all friend groups in high school is usually fluid. So I'm looking for permanence though. I'm looking for promised continuity, like in the same place. And a lot of people in lunch period and kill time and do work. And it is not wrong for them to do that. It's absolutely fine. I've done it before. But this time, I'm not here to kill time. No, I'm just here to find and make genuine friends. Like I'm not asking for adult level stability or emotional regulation to that of an adult or an older adult. I'm just asking that you stay in the same place or region and have an interest in reciprocating a friendship. What I mean by that, y'all, is that fluid friend groups, the one that constantly rotate, are the ones that do that. They indirectly produce a toxic byproduct erasure to a certain minority. That it's produced when neither party explicitly says that where they would go and all of the weight to bear to the newcomer to find them. I call this byproduct, quote unquote, movement without notice. And what I mean by that, y'all, is that this is not representative of all friend groups I visit. Some are great and I'd visit those again sometime. But it's a mismatch of goals. Let's say, for example, a newcomer has these goals of continuity, shared presence, trust over time, memory, true stability in a friend group, and essentially of every decision I make now will affect the future part of me. And the next one is clarity in the face of discomfort. These goals are linear, they're straight, but the issue is these goals counter to other rotating friend groups because other rotating friend groups goals may have low obligation, circulating. They may have social fluidity with a core, but they usually allow the time they talk to different groups. They have easy exits, and some expect newcomers to adapt on entry. And the issue with this is that the toxic byproduct that gets reduced here is that when the given friend group fails to let the newcomer know that their group is fluid, when they fail that the newcomer may have goals of permanence, but the issue is if the friend group constantly moves place without telling, all of that weight is indirectly placed onto the newcomer to find that friend group. When in reality, the issue with this is that this creates confusion. This puts unfairly the burden onto my minority. What I mean by that, y'all, is that I experienced this one time because when I was with a friend group months ago, it was like boys and girls mixed. I asked to join them, but the issue is, y'all, they were good. They were really good people. But the next day, they unknowingly put that weight on me because that entire friend group decided to switch places and walk around instead of letting me know. Again, it's an example of that because that's the toxic byproduct that I'm talking about. It's an unfair transfer of burden and there's a lack of explicit goal telling. Right? The newcomer has this goal of they want permanence, they want somewhere to go to, but the friend group, who is usually rotating, they fail to let that newcomer know, and then that burden is placed unfairly onto the newcomer. If you guys want to see more of this, look at my old Instagram reels. You can see a lot of my old struggles during earlier of the year. And I've even seen it in some other examples before. There was this one time, this library girl that I used to hang out with. She kept moving. Well, in days that the library closed, she kept moving buildings. Even though there was only one time she told me where she was at, many times she just failed to tell me where she was going to be. She failed to tell me where she was going to sit at. Like she just drifted around. I say this, y'all, that this is because it's a structural failure, not a personal failure of one part of the school system and the general student body structure. I blame the fault at least on the structure itself. Right? People fail to let others know, and no one ever cares to audit it or examine it. That's why a lot of people end up disappearing from certain friend groups. And even then, I asked this question, like to every single friend group that I've met, to the good ones, to the neutral ones, or even to the bad ones. From the all-girls friend group that you guys may be watching this video, or maybe to the chiller one. Ask to all these friend groups, what's possible newcomers were erased and written out of your group's history? Not a text's worth, just disappearance. Let's say the day that you decide to switch tables, for example, or take a walk, which isn't wrong. To be fair, I want to take walks too. I love switching tables when other people get annoyed sometimes. I mean, anyone would do that. But the issue is, you did not tell them where. And my question in that, how many people were accidentally erased like that? How many newcomers, how many new friends could you guys actually had, but were removed from the group's history accidentally? So that's a question right there. Is that since this toxic byproduct is something that's invisible, like you don't see many people producing something like this, is that motion without knowledge. Now all of that burden is transferred onto that newcomer. And even goals mismatch too. Like the rotating friend group, you guys might already have like a lot of stuff going on for you. The newcomer, they're expecting permanence. So it's a goal mismatch right here. So that's the thing that's going on. And I also say this is that if this can happen casually, repeatedly, and without intent, then this is happening to many people that we may never even notice at all. In this case, I'm just being a literal whistleblower for an unsanctioned issue. I say this because others are now suffering silently. Others have been suffering silently because of these types of friend groups. And these friend groups are not toxic. None of them are. The issue is there's no explicit telling. There's no explicit knowledge that's being taken. So it's a toxic byproduct that no group wants. No group ever meant for it to be produced, but it's produced and also remains invisible because no one's calling it out as a problem. So that's definitely what I raise right here. And obviously, y'all, we're not babies. None of us are babies. We don't need instructions where to go every time. Like, rather, it's just basic due diligence. So I think of it like that. If you're gonna walk around from a spot or do something else, it's up to the members to say to the newcomer friend or someone that wants to join in. Then, if they don't, then it's a failure by mistake. All right, so a failure by mistaken silence. All right, so it's not an evil failure like where the friend group is absolutely toxic. It becomes a failure because no one lets each other know. Think of it like that. Part of the social structure, y'all, we are in sight of systematically violates the way certain minorities and developments work, all without a single trace that's left behind. All right, my minority value continuity. We value trust. We value trust in the same place over time. Guys, get my drift. Well, funny pun, but people like me at least develop in third person view with a mix of both of these. Like my growth may also be continuity, stable points, explicit communication, and time to root in groups. Thing is, though, the dominant way that others do is fast adaptation, implicit tracking, constant motion, low memory, and definitely emotional self sufficiency. For me, y'all, my minority and even I may work between both of these prefixes sometimes. But the issue is that when a system is only designed for one developmental style, it injures and overshadows the other one silently, even if everyone has a smile on their face. With this social system in mass school, part of this is failing to look at other styles the way people develop. Not everybody wants to rotate in a friend group. Not everyone wants to produce a toxic byproduct. The thing is, it keeps happening anyway because it's unexamined. People have to look a little bit closer. Right? The opposing side, which I absolutely contend with, may call me too serious, too deep, or too fixed or weird. And I can see where they're coming from. I even may end up calling them to as if they're directionless, no return on time given, and unsafe for long-term trust. Because for me, in my minority, is that we value continuity first, then trust, then all the funny stuff, that comes socially. And then by some of us get labeled by these types of groups as, well, too serious, too odd, or weird, right? Some of these groups, not all of them. Not because we are wrong, not because they are wrong, but because certain types of groups are unwilling to confront things at point value like that. So both of us in ultimate reality, like once we truly understand each other in our own views, we both represent two incompatible operating systems. We are both missing something in order for us to be able to match. It's a textbook example, y'all, of conflicting viewpoints, something that's missing. The issue with this is that some people who do value continuity sadly adapt and lose their true personality. Like they lose who they are. It's like, no wonder why so many people hate high school. It's not the teen stuff. It's not the puberty stuff, even though that's definitely a big thing. It's the certain types of people. It's the environment that makes it unfavorable for certain types of growth. It makes it unfavorable for certain types of minorities, y'all. The truth is, if part of this social system in my school valued a lot of different developmental styles, and no one would hate high school. Literally, no one in my school would hate it at all, other than my classes and a ton of homework. I mean, in the social stuff, you wouldn't see that going on. Think of it like this, Yazat. A system optimized for one movement style cannot meet the needs of those who require continuity on a different style. The thing is, eventually, everyone needs continuity. It's a basic thing about life. The thing is, think of it like this. If my high school had a miniature Senate of representatives, I would literally lobby this toward them like a kid sending thousands of envelopes to the White House every month. Issue is there, Chad, is that this issue is way too diffuse. There isn't a center where I could necessarily dispute these problems at. And if there was a miniature version of Trump and Bernie Sanders in a metaphorical Senate in my school, I would be literally sending these spam emails. I would be literally sending them to their mailbox. Like, we need to fix this issue. Like, we need to pass legislation for this type of thing. All right, because there are others who will still be suffering. Even if it doesn't guarantee a group, even if it doesn't guarantee friend groups of these types of people in my minority, it's just that the problem has to be recognized and seen in order for it to be solved. Right? If there was a metaphorical Senate in my school, like, I would lobby this school fast. No, I would lobby down this issue fast. I would get it heard by the Senate. That's the thing, though, is that there isn't one singular way in how to deal with this. So in high school, my high school, there's a lot of social games that are diffused. A lot of people work on different rules, but then again, there's still those invisible problems that taunt. There's invisible problems that not many people see every day. Also a war on two fronts, y'all. Adding my math metaphor here, is that we're not just fighting against these types of views, we're also fighting a war on two fronts. We're also breaking our own fears along the way, but we're also fighting against social conditioning. We're fighting against social inertia. We're fighting against simple generalizations of people who are going through something. We're fighting against generalizations of minorities. We're fighting against people, not in the way that we are against them as humans, but through ideology, through how we view things, through how we see things. It's just like politics, but in the way, smaller scale stuff. The war on two fronts. Emotionally, y'all, I still have that fear going up to people. But then again, other people can also make up generalizations about me, which can make things even worse for me socially because opportunities could decrease. And that's definitely unfair right there. In math metaphor, y'all, think of it as a linear or a parabolic graph versus both of them. Parabolas extend infinitely outward, just like linear graphs do. To personify this, imagine some rotating friend group is a parabola, and then we're linear. In this case, social drifting groups and me as a linear graph. Let's say, for example, y equals x squared and y equals 5x. We both meet new friends. We both meet new people, just in different ways. The way we extend infinite outwardly, like we all grow up, we have the same place. But the thing is, the way we view things, the way we look at things and approach things is different. So we both hit the origin point. We both have a shared lunch period. We both have similar struggles in terms of schoolwork and even our own baseline that we're still humans. We're still people with hearts. What differs is that even though intersections happen later, a linear graph in this example, which is me, means explicit and steady change. Proportional efforts on the x-axis gives proportional results on the y-axis. If I plug in 3, I'll get a result on the y-axis. So meaning time invested socially is given back in equal dividends. If no one wants us, then they'll explicitly say it. Small disruptions matter because they could disrupt our life. But a parabolic means that you are flexible. You meet new people across different domains. You meet people across different places, right? Because you already have a given friend group. You already have a place. Your rate of change constantly changes between derivative 1 and derivative 2. But for me, we only have one rate of change, and that has to remain constant. To personify it more, is that using math to explain sociality, I've been trying to solve the social equation, right? I have my own linear graph. We've tried to equalize it to other groups of different degrees. I've tried to play it their way. I've tried to play substitution. I've tried to play elimination. I even tried the standard quadratic formula. Issue is that I don't have any x roots, and I'm struggling to find intersection points between me and these friend groups. In terms of these friend groups, most of the weak nodes that I meet, like 2 or 3 people, most just drift away and leave. Even then, I tried to solve a discriminant before, right? Metaphorically, once again, choosing to stay with their group, b squared minus 4ac is more or less than 0. I tried the reciprocation test. What's given back? And a lot of things that I'm given are below 0. So the solutions that I'm getting are imaginary. There are no real roots with this friend group. There are no real roots on the x or y axis either. It's non-defined and it's not even real in the first place. That means no place to come back for them, no trust baseline, there's no guaranteed re-entry back into them because they keep going everywhere. They just drift away, even though we, as their newcomer, we're just asking for friends to hang out with. And what I'm beginning to see is that I say it because these weak nodes, unlike the large friend groups, everyone says for newcomers to start with them. But on my side, it's just complete failure. There's like, we've been trying to solve it mathematically, but we're not getting our roots. We're not getting what we're looking for. My first attempt for this example, effort has been reciprocated, but it's only to the minimum one in a random friend group of 4 girls and 3 boys. Next day, they just drifted away. One went on a walk, one was absent, and one just left away. Solutions are present for this friend group, but they are non terminating. Let's say for another attempt with a different friend group, there's 2 girls, 1 boy, and 1 other local friend. Effort is reciprocated politely, but we're blocked. No solution. Even then, attempt 3, 2 girls who were working in the library, maybe a few peripheral boyfriends along that side. Efforts has been reciprocated, but they ended up drifting away. No solution. Trinary friend group a few months ago. We were explicitly rejected. There is no solution to that graph. Library girl months ago, effort has been given and has been reciprocated, but over time, she failed to tell me where she would go on days that the library was closed. So this one here is that it's a non-terminating solution. There are roots that are present, but they cannot be cleanly and socially solved due to the ambiguity of our own living situation. So this attempt will say as no solution. And for me, y'all, as mathematically as it is, I'm not asking for sympathy. Keep that in mind. I'm just telling y'all to like observe the pattern right here. This, ranging from social discomfort, inertia to conditioning, is present. There are countless more attempts that I have made with other friend groups, but they failed. I'm gonna try a security breach section. All right, this one's gonna be a FNAF security breach. I'm gonna personify it this way now. I understand for the math metaphor, y'all, this one may be a little bit more abstract metaphor here that I'm gonna be using, y'all. This one's gonna be about security breach. It's like my third metaphor, I'm not sure, but the math metaphor may have sounded like abstract. So a game I played before, y'all, FNAF security breach. I've already completed an entire playthrough. You guys can check that out on my main YouTube channel. For those who don't know, it's a continuation game from all of the FNAF series 1 through 6, and it showcases you as a main character, Gregory, tasked with escaping a large pizza plug from corrupted animatronics. Think of it like that. So in the game, we know Vanessa. Vanessa is one of the security guards. Her original goal was to detain Gregory and send her to her parents. The issue actively trying to jump scare and hunt Gregory down, not just detain him and put him away. Even the other animatronics are corrupted in a similar manner, not by an antagonist, but rather by one collective virus called the glitch trap virus. It was passed down from an old circuit board containing malicious files, corrupted programming, and misunderstood interpretations. And, well, that same glitch trap virus that corrupted the animatronics, that corrupted Vanessa, it appears in many people that I would see in high school. They're not hunting us down as if we're deviants or just trespass into a building, but rather socially, some of the people there have been input a corrupted circuit board that causes them to be like that by none of their own faults. What I mean by that, y'all, is that social fears such as inherited social conditioning. Don't do this, don't do that. That was present in the library girl. She may have been going through something, and we may never know what she's been going through because she hasn't been saying anything about it. Behaviors learned, not chosen, unexamined. Silence as a default. Let's say, for example, drift without accountability or knowledge. Intent shielding. Quote unquote, it wasn't on purpose. Fear over reason, or quote unquote, just fit in. The issue with this, y'all, is that it assumes one universal development style, but it treats incompatibility as a personal failure. Within this region of the student body is that the reason other friend groups don't see even a teardrop of what I'm experiencing right now is that you guys have people that do trust you. You guys do have like cover. For me, y'all, we're not even shielded at all. Right? So your development style, you remain safe. You remain safe from all this toxicity, but we are literally exposed to it. So that's right there. I'm not asking for sympathy, but I'm just asking y'all to absorb the patterns, like see what's going on here. So think of it like that: is that a lot of these people, it is none of their fault that they're blocking. It is not their fault that they told me that we was uncomfortable. It is not their fault that they are like that. Rather, they were given. Society gave them the wrong types of understanding. Society gave them the glitch trap virus that ultimately corrupted the way they fundamentally see some things. And then personal situations too. Maybe a girlfriend group may not want to deal with the boy for these given reasons. Maybe because someone betrayed them before. Because there's a lot of misunderstanding between what's going on today. A lot of people don't put people inside because of fear. It is none of their fault. They were misunderstood by people. Even the girlfriend group, like they may have had some person before in their own friend group that may have betrayed them. That's why they may not invite certain types of people anymore. But I say that's another generalized misunderstanding, but it's done out of protection and fear. And fear is something that is not inherently corrupt, but it corrupts people if you let it take root. Think of it right now. Now we're gonna try metaphor 3, modded games. And we're gonna do for this one a little bit less abstract though. For the gaming community this time where diverse audiences can understand a little bit more. Rotating friend groups are not inherently toxic by nature. Their goal is to meet new people and see new connections. That is not wrong, but rather by its own movement does it create toxicity toward newcomers who have different goals. Think of it this way: a kid or a teen who is emotionally sound but they do not have support anywhere. Let's say that their parents are complex or that their friends are also complex either. Let's say that they expect a friend group that they join to have continuity. The issue is that friend group doesn't let people know that they drift, leaving the newcomer confused and sad, having to track every movement of that given friend group. The thing is, y'all, is that in order to intersect between both of these types of people who have different goals, rotating friend groups inherently expect you to already have a group-based friend group. They already expect you to have some place to go. The issue is that not many people start with these types of dependency files. Not many people start like this at all. And that's why it produces a toxic byproduct because they don't know, like newcomers don't know the goals. No one told them what's going on. The thing of it like this is that rotating friend groups in this, if you guys love to mod GTA or Red Dead Redemption 2, think of it this way: rotating friend groups already have loving parents framework. they already have friends.dll, boyfriend, girlfriend.xml, or transfriend.xml for non-binary relationships. They already have personality.config. They already have signaling.api. They already got memory.cache. They already got return_point.save. They already got self-love.dll. The issue is that people in my minority who may see values as different or have different goals coming from, let's say, complex backgrounds, they may not. They may have some of this but lack other things. So let's say, for example, lovingparents.framework is a corrupted framework file. Let's say that friends.dll is present, but some may be local, but usually busy with other things. Let's say, for example, boyfriend, girlfriend, XML may not be present either. Personality.config, this is present in most people. Signaling.api, also present. Memory.cache, return_point.save, they do not have these files because there is no base friend group to trust. There is all of the ground around them is shifting, but there's no one to support themselves on. Of course, I already do have self-love.dll, and I also have a file that's called editing.dll, which is the reason I can make these videos at all in the first place. When you add the add-on to these mods, the mod of quote-unquote rotating friend groups.dll to my files, for me, I was that my game just crashes because there are no results. But to these groups, they can rotate friend groups because they already have their game modded. They already have supporting people. They already have dependencies that we don't have. That's why for me, our game crashes. And because of my complex background, from my own parents, y'all, like they don't trust me or love me either. And from my own stuff that I've been through is that rotating friend groups is the last thing that I need. For me, it's the last thing that we need. That's no wonder, like, when you personify this into a game, is that when you try to add the add-on to my files or into my minority's files, you end up crashing the game because it's not prepared. There isn't enough things yet. So, in the gaming community metaphor, parts of this school's social system assumes that people already have the entire mod installed, when in fact, not many people come from equally standing places. That's why this is a basic developmental need that everyone needs, whether you're a kid, teen, or adult. Continuity of the stable friend group, we need continuity. True this. We need stable places where we can sit ourselves on. Even if we love rotating friend groups. The school system, on the other hand, may not prioritize these types of nuances because it goes unexplained and silent. This is not an issue that needs therapy or counseling. It's a systemic issue that hits people in my minority, ones who never had supportive parents, ones who don't even have anything that I've practically been saying. Others don't feel a bee sting because they're already safe. They already have loving parents. They already have these dependency files within themselves. That's why when they are talking to another person who's struggling, someone who's in my minority, they're coming from a position where they already have their game files installed. But this person in my minority, they don't have their game files installed. So thus, the judgment is incomplete. You can't just tell them to put yourself out there more. You can't just tell them to do more of this or do more of that. You'll eventually find a group. The issue is there are some things that are missing. So think of it like that. A system can be safe, fun, and functional for fully configured players, while being quietly destructive to those missing the assumed dependencies of the high school social realm, without anyone doing anything wrong. The issue is that there are already kids out there who do not have supporting parents. They're already socially struggling too. Worst part is they may not even have that much money. So their years right now in high school, it's a complete struggle because no one even sees their problems right now. That's the thing is that I contend to the other side, y'all, is that you guys might just tell me to put myself out there, do this instead. The thing is, you already got an installed mod. My minority may lack some of these files. So it makes it worse because, well, my minority may not have inherited groups, no buffer friend, and no new group. They're not evil. Not the rotating friend groups, they're not evil either. But rather, what we're saying is that a lot of these toxic byproducts are produced because no one bothers to notice it. The solutions I could propose for this in the future, y'all, is that once institutions finally see these problems, I would ask them to maybe have a Dropbox at the end of school where students can send what bothers them. Like, what patterns do they see in these friend groups? Or for 30 minutes after school, staff admins can temporarily hold up a meeting spot where people who are struggle or need a hand in social life, or people who just don't feel fit, they can find their friends there. So think of it like that. Is that, other than that, my concurrent solutions next to y'all is that we're still in the system, to be honest. Even though intervention by non-therapy means is very important, like finding new friends, finding the people that we're looking for. I think for me, it's still a gamble because if the club that I join next year, I may love the activity, but if I don't have an anchoring friend over there, if I don't have the person that I'm looking for, or person or persons, then it's just like lunch period, but with a different time. Think of it in that way. Is that if in the morning period I go, there's nobody there. If in the lunch period, there's also nobody there either. Too much social noise. Even in the library period, like 30 minutes before school ends, I think there's no one there. And then let's say that the club I go to, there's no one there either. That's when the system wins in erasing me because we've exhausted all the avenues and yet we still haven't found the people that we're looking for. And ultimately, that's what I call social death. That is the last thing. But for me, is that next year is our final offensive against this. Our offensive against social inertia. Our offensive against generalizations placed on my minority. Like, this is the last final offensive that we could possibly put on. If we lose this bill, then that's it. I mean, we're done for. I'm just hoping, y'all, that right now we're in the crossroads of it. I'm just hoping that at least to that club in the future, please have an anchoring friend. Just have someone out there that to look for. Or even in the morning period, lunch period, or in the library period. Just hope there's someone there I could find. I hope there's someone, y'all. Because even as much as I would say I would be a whistleblower to this issue, I myself am still also struggling to survive socially. Everything else is fine, but I'm still trying to get there. I'm really hoping that next year is it.